Morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you. I don't know, but hello, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining the channel. This is just a conversation. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I appreciate the likes, subscribes, and all that other stuff. But what I'm going to really look for y'all to do in this interview is make sure you share. Let everybody know that this interview exists, but also let everybody know that this channel exists, that this is where we actually have conversations, right? So our main focus right now is to have basically the one and only great Kenny J in the building. Amazing gentleman at the same time. Definitely admire all the things he's done. And he's going to get an opportunity to give us, just basically tell us a little bit more about himself, what he got going on, and I'll touch on a few other things that we have questions on at the same time. So I'm not going to take much more of the time. Let me just go ahead and bring it in and introduce, and he's going to go from there. Okay. Mr. Kenny J, how are you doing, sir?
That guy right there. Shout out to you, Marcus. How you doing, Marcus? I ain't got nothing to complain about, man. I'm good.
Yeah, that's what I'm here. That's what I love to hear. I love to hear, man. And I'm glad you, first off, once again, man, and I already said this to you before. I'm going to keep saying it to you as well. I appreciate you making the time to be on here with me, because you could have been anywhere in the world at the same time, but you gave me your time. So I do truly appreciate that. Also, even supporting my whole venture of me doing with this cast as well, too. This is all fairly new, so I'm still learning, trying to make sure I don't push the wrong buttons at the same time, but I appreciate your patience as well, too, if anything.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Definitely. So I want to bring you on here because, like I said, a lot of people in the community right now, new people that's coming to being introduced to soul line dancing, and I've been introducing a lot of people to my channel as well, too. So I wanted to give them an opportunity, because we talk about people throughout the nation that's part of the soul line dance community, and they watch your videos, they watch the YouTube channels, the instructionals, and everything else, but they never get a chance to get familiarized with the actual person, if anything else. So for those who don't know who you are, I would like you to take this time to actually introduce yourself and tell a little bit about who is I Am Kenny J.
I am Kenny J. Just Kenny J. But look, I've been line dancing since 2002. So I'm from New Jersey. Line dancing since 2002. And around that time is when I met Dave Bush. We consider him the godfather of line dancing. May he rest in peace. So I'm in this, what we call this tri-state area: Philadelphia, Delaware, and New Jersey. So it seemed like everybody was doing this in Philadelphia. And I said, wow, we got to do this in New Jersey. So I started learning some dances and I brought it back to New Jersey, and I started teaching. And at that time, it consumed my life, because I was teaching every day, 24/7, line dance, line dance, line dance. And I fell in love with it. And then I saw that there was a lot more to it than just what met the eye, because I thought we were the only people doing it in the Philadelphia area. But I would soon find out that other folks was doing it. I met this brother, and I'll talk about him a little later on, named Curtis Good. And Curtis Good was doing it in the Midwest. We were doing it in the Philadelphia area. At some point, we connected, and in my opinion, this is an opinion, in my opinion, between Curtis Good and myself, we took the already existing line dancing to another level by introducing it to a whole lot more states that were not doing it and are doing it now. So again, I consider myself just a pioneer. I do consider myself a pioneer in this industry, but there are a lot of other folks that sit at the same table that I sit at. But what I did was I started my own little group, I Am Kenny J Productions, and then I went to war. I went to Iraq and came back.
Oh, wow.
When I came back to Iraq, I realized how good I had it. So then my purpose and my direction changed a little bit. I thought that, wait, you got it so good, you have to give back to other folks. So we started I Am Kenny J Productions with line dancing as the basis for what we do in order to give back to the community. So and now, and I will tell you, and I'll be straight up and honest with you, there are a lot of folks that have all these events. What I look for, because there's so many events, you can't go to each one. What I look for is who's doing something for their community, who's giving back. And if I have to choose between, do I go to this event in California or this event in Atlanta, you get the first privy if you are giving back to your community. So I mean, that's me in a nutshell. And I'll be honest with you. I appreciate you asking me to come on here, but I don't want to make this about me. I, I want to make this about soul line dancing, and that's my agenda. I will tell you, a lot of folk in the soul line dance community right now, they are self-proclaimed spokespersons for the line dance community. And I just ask the line dance community to be careful. And even myself, just because I say it, don't make it the Bible. Don't make it fact. Don't make it true.
Right.
So it's an opinion. We all have opinions. And we got a lot of folks out here right now with their opinions about soul line dancing and what soul line dancing is about and what can and cannot be done and what should and should not be done and what etiquette is. And again, that's their opinions.
I
So
agree. I agree. So, I like that you mentioned the fact that you decide, you kind of nitpick and decide exactly which events you're going to support based off of what you're doing for the city and community. Because I remember a conversation in the past, you mentioned that to me as well too, and I didn't understand it, but it makes a lot more sense because I mean, and we can just call it what it is. Most people doing it for the money, which is okay at the same time. But sometimes we want to invest in something that's going to do more as far as in changing people's lives within our community and city as well too. So I definitely took that to heart when you said that to me, because from there I wanted to make sure that what we do, we continue to bring what we're bringing in our city and community awareness about our whole soul line dance community and everything, because a lot of people don't even know that we exist at the same time. So I appreciate even those wise words then, even now. And then I am Kenny J. Now, the last time we spoke over the phone and everything else, I didn't think you was coming back. It seemed like you just came back with another I Am Kenny J Part 2. I saw a post on that. So I'm like, what's going on? Because I thought it was it. I thought it was over, but you coming back with another one. What's going on?
so first let me say this. I want to piggyback on something you said. And I did say I pick and choose about what events I attend, and I look for those events that are giving back to the community. But I want to be clear about something. There is a lucrative side to what we do. There is nothing wrong with you having an event and the proceeds of that event goes to your pocket. I am, let me be clear. I am not telling you that that is wrong or that you should not do that. Do you.
Right.
I'm just saying for me, if I have to pick and choose between events, I'm going to give priority to the one that's giving back to the community. But it
I
is
agree.
fine and it is okay, because some people, I will tell you, to your point, their event is only about making money for themselves. And quite honestly,
Absolutely.
soul line dancing might be their livelihood. That may be what pays their bills. So
Right.
I just wanted to
That
bring
makes
that
sense.
up.
And I
Now,
respect it.
to your
I respect
question.
it. Go ahead. Go
So
ahead.
I also remember you and I having a conversation, and we were talking about line dance organizations and groups and the likes thereof. And one piece of advice I shared with you is be careful who you give the keys of your house to.
Right.
Be careful who you give the keys of your house to. And I will share with you, not to go into in depth into it, but early on, there were a lot of, when I first got into this, there were a lot of line dance organizations and a lot of groups. And they had 100, and I'm talking about in the Philly, New Jersey, Delaware area. We had 100, 200, 300 people within those groups. But within those groups, people didn't necessarily recognize their role. They wanted to be in charge. So a lot of those groups broke off and made new groups. And then I was blessed because when I Am Kenny J first started, everybody in I Am Kenny J recognized his or her role. In other words, nobody wanted to be Kenny J. They allowed Kenny J to be Kenny J. And I always
Okay.
said, there was a saying I had, I'm Kenny J, but you're I Am Kenny J.
Right.
And I empowered, in my opinion, I empowered the folks that were a part of I Am Kenny J.
Mm.
So as we grew, that sort of changed. You know, you get new people with new
Right.
ideas. And
Mm.
one of the things that I vowed, that before I allow I Am Kenny J to become like some of those other organizations, and then you see all the riffraff on Facebook and the back and forth and the arguing, and I will shut it down.
Right.
And unfortunately, to some extent, that's what I needed to do. However, what people didn't realize, I Am Kenny J didn't go anywhere. We
Mm.
shut down the existing I Am Kenny J social club so that we did not get into uh, I don't like this person, I don't like that. It didn't get there, but I
Right.
could see it heading there. And before
Right.
I allow it to blow out of proportion, it was my decision. We need to shut this down.
Mm.
I
Makes sense.
always had a foot in the line dance community, and I kept a little foot in there because I toyed with the idea, maybe it's time for me to let this go. But in
Right.
case I didn't want to let it go, I kept a little foot in the line dance community. And when I thought it was appropriate, I came back. And therein lies, you saw the IAKJP2, the sequel.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
so, you know, it's we're still in existence. We still want to do things. I do intend to blow it back up to the level that it was prior
Mm.
to me shutting it down. But
Okay.
I just think I thought we had to do some things different, and we could not do those things differently unless we stopped what we had and started over.
Mm. Okay. Okay. And yeah, I was definitely seeing that, and I was like, okay. And I think it's a beautiful thing because I don't think I had the opportunity to experience it. I Am Kenny J, the first one, during its rise and everything else, but I did see the results of it, if anything. I mean, and it was, you had a lot, man. You had a lot going on and all that stuff. So I'm just curious. So you're going to strive to get it to the same level you had before, or even and beyond. I'm assuming it.
You always
Like,
strive for better.
gotcha,
And
gotcha.
you look at experiences and you learn from them. You good and bad. You
Okay,
take the good and bad and and learn from them and know
mm,
how to do better if you get an opportunity to do
right.
whatever it is you want to do again. So
That makes sense. That makes sense.
I don't
Um,
look at anything that happened in the past. I don't regret anything.
okay.
It was a learning experience. I said, oh, I can't do that way next time. Oh,
Mm,
I got to be careful with this next.
mm,
Oh, I got to pay attention to that. So everything
mm,
is a learning experience. So if you don't look at it and value that a learning experience and learn from that learning
right.
experience, then you are in a position where you're going to regret things.
Right. That makes sense. Now, you mentioned earlier about how you guys started to take line dance and introduce it to different states. How easy was the transition of presenting something of that on that level and aspect to these different states that y'all was trying to introduce it to? And follow up question behind that, how much of a comparison it is right now towards what the trail riders introducing. And I know trail rider been around for a minute, but it just still seemed like it's being reintroduced to us in different cities and states, like the comparison from those two.
Let me first say this. I cannot speak on the trail riders because I do not know enough about the trail riders to
Okay.
speak on the trail riders. But I can tell you for soul line dancing, and again, my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
back around 2004, 2003, 2004, maybe 2005,
Mm-hmm.
I was probably one of the first people to post the volume of line dance videos on YouTube. So a lot of folks started looking at YouTube and say, hey, and I will tell you, folks will come to me and say, oh my God, Kenny J, I learned all of your dances. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have got into line dancing. And I have
Right.
to correct them to an extent. I say, wait, you learned all of the dances that I posted on YouTube. But
Right.
if you look at the verbiage on there, the description, it'll tell you this dance was choreographed by Ray Boyd or Brooklyn Ed. The song was
Mm-hmm.
such and such and such and such. But
Mm-hmm.
yes, you may have learned the dances from me, but they're not necessarily my dances. So
Correct.
with the evolution of these dances on YouTube, that coupled with me meeting Curtis Good, and I got to tell you, there was an event called United We Dance.
Right.
And if you give in a weekend event now, if you're a line dance organization or a line dance host and you give weekend events, you might not know this, but your event, the blueprint for your event was United We Dance.
Wow.
So United We Dance had these weekend events. And when I met Curtis Good, I took like 2 or 3 buses from the Philly, Jersey, Delaware area to Detroit or to Ohio, to the Midwest, to wherever he was having this event.
Mm-hmm.
They were the first ones, in my opinion, they were the first ones that were given these weekend events. And one of the
Mm-hmm.
biggest weekend events in the soul line dance community right now is the UC Star Awards. Well, I will
Mm-hmm.
tell you this, again, my opinion, even the UC Star Awards was modeled after United We Dance.
Mm.
I am Kenny J. I began to give weekend events. I modeled mine after United We Dance. Now, don't get me wrong. UC Star Awards, I am Kenny J, and everyone else, we made some changes. We did some things a little different. But with all due respect, weekend events came from United We Dance.
Wow.
And then Curtis Good was like the ambassador. Now, granted, there were a lot of other folks that worked with him,
Mm-hmm.
but he was the face of United We Dance.
Okay.
Curtis Good, with the combination of people seeing line dancing on YouTube that I posted, and Curtis Good doing the leg work. Curtis Good was going to Atlanta. He was going to California. He had called me, Kenny J, I found
Mm-hmm.
out they got a line dance organization in Nebraska. I'm going to go there. He goes to Nebraska and he pushed that United We Dance event. He goes to Texas and he pushed that. So now all these different states were coming. Now they're seeing line dancing from the Philadelphia area that I posted on YouTube. And now they're going somewhere and they get to see all these people that they saw in the videos. Curtis Good and bringing
Mm.
all these people to United We Dance, to the United We Dance event. It eventually got up to like 1,500 or so people for a weekend
Wow.
event. Now, back
Wow.
then, when you went to those events, there was no sleeping. You pull up in
Mm-hmm.
there on Friday morning, they would have some workshops for you on Friday morning. They have a dance on Friday night, and then they had the infamous after party. That was the
Wow.
party after the dance was over, after the hotel told us we had to shut the ballroom. There was a party somewhere where you're dancing from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the morning. And next thing you know, it's
Wow.
time for breakfast. And then there's the workshops on
Yeah.
Saturday. And then there's the entertainment Saturday evening. And then the line
Right.
dance party. And then after the line dance party, there was the after party. And the after party
Wow.
was until it was time to get on the bus to go back to your airport or whatever it was. So it was 24/7, 3 days of 3 days and 3 nights of just line dancing, line dancing, and line dancing. And people started meeting each other. So I met the likes of Lewis Jenkins, Curtis Good, Nicole Points, Jamie Gant, Ziggy, Richard Phillips. And they met
Mm.
all of the quote unquote Philadelphia stars, Ray Boyd, Brooklyn Ed, Bernadette, Kenny J, all those people. And then all of a sudden, people started coming from other places. Then here comes this guy named Jerome Bentley, one of the greatest choreographers there in the game today.
Right.
So
Right.
my point is, with Curtis Good's efforts running from state to state and telling them about his United We Dance event and people seeing line dancing on YouTube, it took off and one state after another. I get a call. Hey, Kenny J, guess who's coming? We got people from Mississippi. We got people
Right.
from so one state after another, one state after another. And I can tell you, Atlanta is big in line dancing now. But I
Mm-hmm.
remember when Atlanta first started, there was
Wow.
I remember I went to an event. Jerome Bentley was there, and they were doing this dance. It's called Goodfoot. They call
Mm-hmm.
it Super Bad.
Okay. Okay.
And they said to me, "Hey, Kenny J, we're gonna do Super Bad." I'm like, "Okay," and we did it. 3 songs later, hey Kenny J, we're gonna do Super Bad again. And did it 4 songs later, hey Kenny J, we're gonna do Super Bad.
Oh God.
And they did it again. And today, if you go to a line dance event and you do the same song, if a DJ plays the same song twice, he's about to get hung. My point is, I
Right.
can recall going down to Atlanta when it was like that. They only knew the dances that were done at United We Dance or the dances that were posted on
Mm.
YouTube by me. But now,
Okay.
of course, that story is different when you look at, and that story is different for all of these states.
Right.
I believe everybody has something unique going on in their own state. Each state has their quote unquote line dance guru, their stars, their top notch line dancers and choreographers and instructors. So
Right.
I think it's a beautiful thing. I think we've grown to a place, but the one thing that, as I mentioned, even my events, I modeled after United We Dance, but I tried to
Mhm.
do something a little different. I saw something more in soul line dancing.
Okay.
I felt like we were like the best kept secret. So then when I would have my weekend events, I would bring quote unquote celebrities. I don't know if you're familiar with Darren Henson from Soul Food.
Yes, I saw the
Darren
video.
Henson from
Yeah.
Soul Food,
Hmm.
and he's also a choreographer.
He was in
So
Stump the
I had
Yard
Darren
too.
Henson. I had may he rest in peace, Chuck Brown from the Soul Searchers.
Oh wow.
So I brought these guys in and then I had this guy named Step Stewart from Broadway. The
Okay.
whole my whole idea was hopefully they would see what we were doing and then they would help us to take it to the next level to get the exposure that we have today, which is good, but even a little more. We wanted I wanted national exposure. And Darren Henson himself said, "Oh my God, Kenny J, this thing is the best kept secret. Whoa." And he was just
Mm.
ecstatic and amazed at what we did.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. 'Cause I did see a few videos. I think he did like a choreographed dance. And I ain't
He
gonna lie to you, I
he,
wasn't gonna keep up with that one right
he
there.
did something I think it's called One from Mary
Yeah.
J. Blige.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then he did another one too. And so exactly. So and then
Yeah.
so the other part of that was when we had somebody in the community that choreographed a dance, I would reach out to the artist and try to get the art. That's how we had Chuck Brown with to Sharon Holmes, Chuck Baby. So we did
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we have a dance in the community called what's- it's Brooklyn Ed's dance to what's the girl's name? Now I'm drawing a blank. The Love I Lost, and the dance is Airtight. Dance is Airtight. Grace
Okay.
Little, she sings
Okay.
it. I brought
Okay.
Grace Little in so that we could do
Wow.
it. And these artists, when they see these line dances to their songs, they love it. They appreciate it.
Right. 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 Hopefully, we get to the level where we start bringing big name artists to the events. Definitely, that would be a nice thing to do as well.
Well, I
Um,
see it going that way, Maki, and excuse me if I'm interrupting you, but I
mhm.
will tell you to an extent that is part of the purpose of the GMA piece. And I know we'll get to that, but that was
Okay.
part of the purpose of that. And then with the exposure that line dancing is getting now, I think you'll find artists wanting line dances to their songs, but we can talk about that.
Well, actually, I want to touch on that because what happened is, all right. So I did put out a filler as far as questions and everything else, and I'm gonna ask her question, but it's pretty much something that you're gonna sum up anyways. And I'm not sure if she wanted to mention her name or not, but she said, let's see. Oh, you asked about something. Oh, she said, why did he? She wanted to know why you didn't reach out to Trey Little, the choreographer, um, to make history on Good Morning America, and also why did the vast majority of line dancers find out afterwards as well? So I sent you the video with Trey. I'm not sure if you got a chance to look at it and his response to it at the same time. And even in the live, I tried to elaborate a little bit more to him that it was obviously a bigger than just boots on the ground and everything else. But I wanted you to kind of touch on that because a lot of conversation was around it. And I told you also personally, my initial reaction when I saw it, which I was happy for the opportunity, but I did feel a slight away about the fact that I'm like, dang, he chose boots on the ground. Oh man, you know what I mean? It's going to get crazy now. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of wanted to give you the opportunity and platform to kind of elaborate about the moment, your decision making in the whole situation, and what was the intent and focus of what you were trying to accomplish in that moment.
Okay, I think there was a two-part question. What was the
Yes,
second
her
part of the
question.
question?
The second part was, and she said, why did the vast majority of line dancers find out afterwards as well? And I'm
So
guess I'm assuming to the Good Morning America. I'm not sure how she's trying to phrase it, but maybe the Good Morning America piece. I don't know.
because I don't know. I guess the answer is because I don't know the vast majority of the line dancers. So I posted it on Facebook. I posted it on my social media. Said, hey, stay tuned on such and such date. I will be going here on Good Morning America, blah, 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 blah. Some people shared it. Not everybody is my friend, I guess. Not everybody is connected to my social media, so they would not have known. So
Mm.
in a
I
nutshell,
know. I know a person posted in the Universal Line Dance page that they were looking for videos for that moment and for that time as well too. But I think a lot of people was kind of leery about it as well because we see a lot of scams happen on social media, so we wasn't sure if it was legitimate or not. But I did see that post.
we did. There were some responses to that. Hey, this is the person that's doing Kenny J on Good Morning America. So in talking with her, the whole idea was this was bigger than I am Kenny J. This was
Right,
it was about soul line dancing. But anyway,
right.
let me just again answer the second part of that question. I did what I could. I posted it on social media. Some people shared it. Does it go everywhere? I don't know. So there
Right.
was no direct intent to keep it from anyone. I let people know. And then number
Hmm.
two, the answer to your first part of that question, how much time we got?
Well, we got time.
We
We
got
got
like 2 days because we can talk
time.
about this. So I
Right.
want to be clear about something, and
Okay.
I no disrespect to anyone,
Hmm.
but let me level set first. Let's level set that GMA piece, and let me say this: Good Morning America and the Library of Congress was two separate things. The Library of Congress event was something that, and I love her to death. Queen Nora, she's a professional storyteller, and she's also a part of I Am Kenny J. From the day one that she's been a part of I Am Kenny J, she's been on my back about Kenny. We need to document this. We need to document this. This story needs to be told. Blah 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 blah. And God blessed us. She kept pushing that agenda. She got a grant to document soul line dancing in the tri-state Philadelphia, New Jersey, and Delaware area. That's what
Okay.
that was about. She got that grant, and then she reached out to myself, Aileen Goodman, and
Hmm.
Gloria Kincaid in that tri-state area as to find out who all can help tell this story. And then came a whole nother group of people so that we could possibly include as many people that would be able to allow us to tell our story of line dancing. So I just wanted to throw that in there. That was the Library of Congress. Now let's talk about Good Morning America. Good Morning America reached out to me. They wanted to do a story on soul line dancing and I Am Kenny J. Oh, we found you. We see that you do soul line dancing at Newark Symphony Hall. We read your story. We saw your clip. We like to do a story on this. And in talking with Good Morning America, we concluded that that story should be about soul line dancing. So she did some legwork. She went out and she found videos and stuff. And then we told her about Dave Bush. She found videos of Dave Bush to make that story about soul line dancing and not I Am Kenny J. So now,
Okay.
in level setting, let's be clear about something. It wasn't about the soul line dancing, the soul line dance world that includes Cupid. Cupid is the king of line dancing in that world, and Big Moochie is right behind him. So That's a different world. That's the soul line dance where Cupid and I think Cupid is the hardest working man in that community. He's out there and he's pushing an agenda, trying to get soul line dancing as a category at the Grammys, and I applaud him for that. Then you got Cupid, you got Big Moochie, may rest in peace. You got Casper, and you got TK Soul, the likes of those folks. Those folks are those folks that are artists. They have songs and they choreograph their own dances to those songs. Now, that's a whole nother soul line dance world. The soul line dance world I'm talking about is the soul line dance world that if you know these choreographers, or if you don't know, if you don't know these choreographers, or if you don't know someone that know them, the likes of Ray Boyd, Bernadette Burnett, Brooklyn Ed, Jerome Bentley, All Snap, John Woodhouse, STL Flavor, Allie James. If you don't know somebody that know those folks, you don't know the soul line dance world that we're talking about. If you don't know somebody that know these folks that I consider contributors to the soul line dance world, the likes of Dave Bush, Sharon Holmes, Curtis Good, Mike and Trish Womack, Queen Noor. If you don't know those folks as contributors in the soul line dance world, you don't know the soul line dance world that we were talking about on GMA. If you don't know these instructors, Rhonda Gaines, Linda Sims, James Carr, Sandra Richardson, Gerard and Shante Porter, Stefan Cave, James and Jackie Rice, Carlos Vieira, Rondi Hackett, and the AYE. If you don't know those people as instructors, you don't know the soul line dance world we're talking about. If you don't know these DJs, Chris Blues, John Woodhouse, Reggie Dean, AJ the DJ, DJ 8 Mile, if you don't know those people, you don't know the soul line dance world that we're talking about. Let's talk about the soul line dance world that we're talking about. If I'd have gone on GMA and if this was about a dance, if this was about a song, if this was about a choreographer, no disrespect to Trey Little, but there's no way in the world I would have, Boots on the Ground would not have been on that segment. That song would not have been, that dance would not have been. And if I had to bring a choreographer, it would not have been Trey Little. It would have been one of those choreographers that I named that had put the work in, that has been doing this for 10, 15, and some even 20 or 30 years, that do soul line dancing for this community. Boots on the Ground, I will tell you, I love that dance. I think it is the #1 trending dance out there. That song, I love that. I think it is the #1 trending song out there. But it is not the #1 soul line dance in our community. Trey Little, I think you've done a wonderful job. I love your dance, but you are not the #1 choreographer in our community. I think you are a damn good choreographer, but what you do and what you did, because soul line dancers in our world, we dance from songs from all genres. We dance to pop. We create line dances to pop. We create line dances to hip hop. We create line dances to R&B. We create line dances to hip hop, R&B, gospel, and we now will do dances to. And again, I can't speak on it because I don't know trail ride like that, but we'll also do trail ride dances. So let me tell you what happened with Good Morning America. They said, hey, Kenny J, can you give us a list of songs of some dances that you want to do? So if they would have gotten the license, the okay to play certain songs, I would have been doing what people in the world know as a Tamiya dance, as opposed to Boots on the Ground. They didn't get that license. I said, hey, this dance right here is trending. They wanted us to do some dances to showcase, and they wanted us to teach a dance. So the dances, the list of dances that I gave to pick from to teach, they came back and said, hey, we got a license to do Boots on the Ground. I said, that's perfect. We'll do that. They didn't get the license to do Can't Get Enough by Tamiya, so we couldn't do that. And what people don't know, we did Terminal Reaction and we did Go Hard, Go Home. They didn't air that. They wanted to air the piece that we were teaching, so which is fine. But again, I don't want Trey Little to take this the wrong way, or 803 Fresh, because I do appreciate what you guys did, and I love your music and I love your dance. But if I had to accentuate somebody in the soul line dance world, if this was about choreography, if this was about a dance, if this was about a song, it would have been something from the soul line dance world that somebody had been busting their butt for the last 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 years, I would have brought them on instead. So
I agree.
I,
I
I
agree.
I want people to understand that. Again, it was not about a particular dance. It was not about a particular song. It was not about a particular choreographer. Boots on the ground would not have been included at all if it was about any of those things. But while you ask other folks, and Trey Little said he was a little taken back, I look at it and I say, well, wait a minute. You're taken back. Granted, Boots on the Ground is the hottest trending dance out there right now. But you got to recognize that there is only a select group of people that look at the internet, at line dances on the internet, and fall in love with it or go to it and do it. The exposure from Good Morning America enhanced that group of people. Now,
Mhm.
uh, all the people that were looking at Boots on the Ground that love it, you got people that would never have looked at a line dance or looking at it. So,
Yeah.
quite honestly, in my opinion only, I put your dance out there for a little more exposure. So
Yeah.
now, and let me step back. I do think there was one thing that I could have done, and as a matter of fact, I should have done, but unfortunately, while at the Good Morning America segment, there was a thing we had rehearsals and said, okay, Kenny, you're only going to have X amount of seconds. You got to get this and you got to get that in. But what I should have done was I should have at least said, this song is from 803 Fresh, and this dance was choreographed by Trey Little. I
Right.
I apologize to you guys for not giving you that due respect, but
Right.
charge it to the head, not the heart.
I
But
agree.
at the same time, Boots on the Ground is not what soul line dancing is about, and that is
Right.
not what that segment is about. Now, if
Right.
you look at the segment, you'll see clips from other people doing dances. And now, granted, when she pulled some dancers off, there were quite a few of the Boots on the Ground, and that's because I confirmed with her that that would be the dance that I would initially. I was supposed to be teaching Robin and Michael. I said, okay, well,
Okay.
I need a beginner's dance.
Right.
So some of the dances that I considered was Bring Them Out,
Hmm.
Sanko. So
Hmm.
all this, the jump off. There was,
Right.
again, it was about giving them a list of songs that
Hmm.
the studio could then get the rights to play that music.
Hmm.
And then they came
Yeah.
back and said, okay, here are the songs. And the first song that they actually got the rights to was Boots on the Ground. I said, oh, that's the no-brainer. We're gonna do
Yeah.
Boots on the Ground. So
Right.
yeah,
Honestly, I think
that's where that comes from.
honestly, and regardless of, and I'm going to speak for me and my opinion and everything else, because like I told you, my initial reaction, like, oh man, he chose that one. You know what I'm saying? That was my initial reaction. And they did have clips of videos for people doing dances, and a lot of the clips wasn't people doing boots on the ground. They were doing other dances, just boots on the ground was playing in the background. Because I know my family over in Omaha, the video that they was doing, I think it was a choreographed dance that they created. They had nothing to do with boots on the ground. But I'm gonna tell you this, for me, um, while even though I felt the way I felt in the moment, I once again said I was happy to see you as the individual representing us, because I felt like while there are other people that could have, I know who you are, um, and I know that your personality was necessary. You're the only one with that personality that's attractive and keep the energy and keep it fun and bring more excitement and everything else. And then the fact that you did boots on the ground, I think it really affected our city and our community even more, our local city. Why? Because now it made everyone try to find line dance classes, to the point where now you got people who can't find line dance classes creating line dance classes. You got the clubs now, they trying to do line dance classes in the clubs and everything else. So what I feel like, when, even though that was not the agenda and the intent, the fact that you end up doing it and the fact that it worked in that way still brought favor to a lot of people who are hosting classes and parties. If they say they ain't, that mean they ain't doing it right. Because all you had to do was slap boots on the ground on your flyer, and I promise you, your party was packed. You know what I mean? You got people who are searching for class just to do that dance. So what you did was still a blessing in my from my perspective, because it brought more awareness of what our mission is and what we're trying to do in our city at the end of the day. So they give us the opportunity and the platform to educate them and introduce them to the soul line dance community. Because yeah, we'll teach you boots, but we're going to teach you about the soul line dance community. So all in all, I am still grateful that it went the way it did at the end of the day. So, regardless of what other people may feel and think, and it is what it is, but I still think what you did and how what was selected was still the best thing that happened to our
So,
city at the same time.
with that being said, at the end of the day, um, while I emphasize I would not have done boots on the ground if this was about a certain dance or a certain choreographer, but at the end of the day, boots on the ground was the ultimate decision to teach because there's a lot of things that people don't pay attention to that you have to consider when you're trying to expose it. And I'm going to digress a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
when you as a choreograph a dance for a particular artist, a specific artist, you say, hey, the Blue Notes, they got a song and they want a dance choreograph to it. And you choreograph a dance and you just do it by yourself and you put it out there. Now you are exposing soul line dancing to a whole new audience. And if you don't bring your A game and you put it out there and the Blue Notes look at it, they're like, what the hell is this stuff? And it gives line dancing a bad name. And
Right.
trust me, I've seen this, I've heard it, and I know it to be true. So when I'm asked to be on Good Morning America and I have to select what dances, I have to select something that is going to give line dancing a good name. I have
Right.
to select something that is exciting. And sometimes that may mean take your own name out of it. I got
Mm-hmm.
dances that I choreograph, and I have to say, I could have just gone up there and said, "Oh, let's do Mr. Lover. Let's do something that Kenny J choreographed." But it ain't about me. It's
Right.
about what will the community grab a hold of. Boots on the ground was trending, as people call it. Tamia, become as you know it. Come dance with me. That's trending. Jerusalem was trending. All those dances, any of those would have worked. But when the studio came back and said, "These are the dances that we have the music rights to," it was a hands down. It's boots on the
Right.
ground. That
Right.
dance is hot. People love it. It's energetic. It's not hard to learn for most people. I'll throw that in there. It's not hard to learn for most people. So my point is, when selecting what you're going to show a new audience, you have to be smart about it. You
Right.
can't be selfish and make it about yourself. So now, a lot of people did ask, well, how come you didn't call Trey Little? You should have brought him on. Well, truth be told, I didn't know him, but I did do some research. I reached out to him. I sent him a friend request on Facebook. And he probably saw Kenneth Johnson. Who the hell is this? I don't know this guy. I'm speculating now. I'm speculating.
Right.
I don't
Right.
know. I reached out to him, but he didn't respond. So I left it at that. So
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's cool. Yeah, because I know he probably getting a lot of everything on his page and his channel and everything else. And one thing, and I'm not sure if you caught the interview, but one thing he said was that at the end of the day, he was grateful that it was us that represented that versus anybody else. You know what I mean? Like once he sit back and look, like it could have been worse. It could have been somebody else. And the fact that it was us doing that in the best as light as possible, he was grateful to see that. You know what I'm saying? And
I
so,
will tell you this. If Good Morning America would have reached out to me and said, hey, we want to do a segment on boots on the ground, I would have had no choice but to bring Trey Little on and 803 Fresh.
yeah,
But that was not the agenda.
correct, correct, understandable. Understandable. So let's talk about I really want to get into the whole trail riding and getting your take on it because as you can see, the trail riders, the steppers world, they pretty much kind of got, I ain't gonna say, I'm just my assumption from observation from watching social media, it got the community in an uproar and they're kind of torn between the two as far as either we're going to accept it or we're not going to accept it. Somebody need to educate them and help them understand a little bit about us and da 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 da. And
Wait,
one more
wait,
thing.
wait. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. And one more thing. And what's even more sad that I seen because I saw this. It's almost like I ain't gonna say everyone, and I'm just telling you based off observation, looking outside in. We're it's almost like we're kind of looking for the destruction of or the downfall of the trail rider. The reason why I say that is because someone shared a video yesterday of someone they're fighting at one of the trail ride parties and stuff like that. And even Trey Little mentioned that it just really depends on which one you go because it can go left because of the type of people that gets involved and everything. So you just got to be careful. And I kind of figured that because you got young folks, pride, drinking, all that other stuff. But just the fact that when they shared the post, it was early that day. I think it had like a couple thousand views or whatever like that. It is literally up to 1 million views of just people fighting at of the same video of people fighting at the trail ride. And I literally didn't share it because I didn't want to bring any light to it, but it was like we wanted to show light on what's really happening at the trail ride so people can say like us be like, see, that's why I don't do big crowds, or see, that's why I don't go to stuff like that because I already know they're gonna. And it's sad because the community was coming together, and it's ways of when you share stuff, it's almost like you're trying to tear it down by bringing light of the negative side of it at the same time. But anywho, that's
So,
I kind of want to touch on
so
that.
again, let me first say this. I don't know enough about trail ride to speak on it, but what I do know is first of all, I think in trail riders are getting a bad name. I think they're getting the blame for something that's, from my understanding, again, I don't know this to be factual. From my understanding, there are the trail riders. And then there are the folks that are teaching dances to that particular genre of song, that particular genre of music. And
Mm-hmm.
they go to these trail rides, but they are not quote unquote trail riders.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I don't know that to be true, but I'm my understanding that there's two separate things. But even so, who made us the the authorities on those dances?
Mm-hmm.
Who told us that we can control what they do? Who told us that we need to regulate the dances they do, when they do it, how they do it, and so forth and so forth? What
Mm-hmm.
you better remember in the soul line dance world, we started at the beginning also.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't use dance jargon also.
Mm-hmm.
You tell me where in the dance world is the step called Sharon explained? It's not. It was created by us. You know why? Because we had our own mindset and it was okay. This was our thing. And there were folks that wanted us to mirror what's done. And there's a world called progressive line dance. And quite honestly, the difference between progressive line dance and soul line dance is the majority of the folks doing progressive line dance are white folk. And they have
Mm-hmm.
step sheets and they
Okay.
have music terminology. And in that world, a dancer could take the step sheet and he or she will be able to learn the dance just by reading that step sheet. In our world, that was different. In our world, because what I called a step in New Jersey, somebody else called something different in Detroit. And then that same step in Florida was different. And
Mm-hmm.
somebody said, hey, we need to be like them. And it was
Mm-hmm.
my position that no, we don't. We
Mm-hmm.
can, if we want to call this Sharon, if we want to call that whatever it is, then that's fine. All we need to be able to do is translate it. We need to know that while we call it Sharon, in their world, it's called XYZ. Just like if you were to go to France,
Yeah.
you would have to be able to, you don't have to learn that language. You just need to know what you call it over here in the United States and what they call it in
Right.
France. That's what you mean. And so
Right.
then how do we dare look at somebody else that's starting something and having fun and doing what they do, minding their own damn business? How do we dare put ourselves in a position to tell them what they should, what they could, and what they cannot do?
Wow.
We
Right.
don't have that. Who do we think we are?
Mm.
Let
Mm.
them do them. And then to your point about that video, I guarantee you, to that one video of turmoil or whatever it was, I bet you there are 50,000 videos of trail rides or trail ride parties or whatever it is where everybody's having fun. Why aren't those videos posted and why aren't they getting a million views? Because we are people that like to see turmoil. We if we ain't in the forefront leading the success, then we want to tear it down.
Yeah.
Be careful.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah.
You don't know everything. And I've seen some of the comments. Oh, they're teaching the step and they don't even know what the step is called. Oh, they do this. And I'll be honest. When I first started teaching, it took me a minute to learn the relationship between music and dance. It took me a minute to learn about measures, 4 beats and phrases and so forth and so forth. I taught a dance and I counted 12. Ain't no such thing as 12 beats in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But I learned. But my point is, at some point, we all had to learn.
Right.
And then, but even though I know now, when I teach that dance, I'll still teach it with 12 steps. I say, look, this is not beats. These are steps. But here's what you have to recognize. When you are an instructor, are you getting the message across? Is the message getting to the receiver? Is the receiver understanding it? So if you use standard terminology and they understand it, fine. If you don't use standard terminology and you use your local community terminology, something you made up, if they understand it, fine. So,
Right.
and again, I'll relate to when there were folks that was trying to have our agenda match the agenda of the progressive world, where they said we need to have step sheets. You need to learn and you need to understand step sheets. Yes, I understand it. I can take that step sheet and I guarantee you, if I brought it back to my class, it would be like me speaking Russian to them. So
Yeah.
why do I bring something to my audience? And you know, people, as an orator, as a speaker, as a motivational speaker, you have to understand your audience and you have
Right.
to speak to your audience. So
Right.
stop trying to be like other people and stop trying to make other people be like you. Allow them to do them. Now,
Right.
if you have some constructive criticism that can help them, by all means, share that. But don't deny them, don't denounce them. And I think there
Right.
are a lot of people in the line dance world, again, self-proclaimed spokespersons that are so ready to ridicule and criticize what the trail ride line dancers or whatever they're called, criticize what they're doing, and you have no business criticizing them. Go over there and offer them a word of wisdom, offer them
Yeah.
a helping hand. Show, if you're so concerned about the step, show them, tell them. I've seen so many, oh my God, did you see her doing this? Did you see him doing that? Really? What's that about?
I agree. So let me ask this question then. Do you think the soul line dance, in your opinion, do you think the soul line dance uh, community want to be commercialized and put on the platform? Do you think we want to remain secretive, our little hood secret, to keep the authenticity and the everything about, the essence, the pureness of our thing together still? Like, what are your opinion on that?
I think it depends on who you ask.
Okay.
For me, I want the exposure because I want to be recognized. I want the soul line dance to be recognized. So I think we can have that exposure. I think we can be recognized and still have the authenticity. I think we
Mm-hmm.
can it still be authentic. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of folks in the soul line dance community don't even know this, but I've attended several, and for a while I did it annually, progressive um, line dance events. And I am Kenny J was the link between the soul line dance world and the progressive soul line dance and then the progressive line dance world. And I will be honest with you, initially they did not accept us. We were in a little room, I taught a dance, but as they started learning and seeing the excitement that we bring, that audience grew and grew and grew, and they accepted us. And one of the most beautiful things attending that event, as again, I'll use the dance, Come Dance With Me. So Joe Zemansky choreographed a dance called Come Dance With Me to a country song, Come Dance With Me.
Okay.
And I don't know who, but somebody in the soul line dance world put it to Tamia's Can't Get Enough. And it
Mm-hmm.
just blew up. It took off in the
Mm-hmm. They
soul
said it
line.
was in South Carolina. Yeah, they said it was in South Carolina, from what I hear.
In the soul
Mm-hmm.
line dance world, it took off. So then when we went to this, Joe was someone that frequented this event. And then there's
Mm-hmm.
another guy that, and forgive me for getting his name. We do a dance called UK Soul Stepping.
Okay.
He's from the United Kingdom. He was
Mm-hmm.
there. We did his dance with a twist on it. And then, but the beauty of it is they put us in this big old ballroom,
Okay.
black folk and white folk. And they played the country and western song "Come Dance with Me," and they did "Come Dance with Me." And then they called me to the stage next to Joe and said, "Hey, the Soul Line Dance Committee, they do it to this song," and we did it side by side, and black folk and white folk doing that dance. The link between, and what people don't know, there are a lot of dances in the Soul Line dance. No,
Mm-hmm.
let me take that back. There's not a lot, but there are dances in the Soul Line dance, and this is my point, that we dance to all genres of music. So
Mm-hmm.
there are some folks, the only difference between the progressive line dancers and the soul line dancers is the predominance of the ethnicity of who's doing the dances. So they
Mm-hmm.
dance the soul music, they dance the R&B, they dance the pop, and so on and so on. But the point is, I don't think we lose authenticity if
Mm-hmm.
we expand, if we get recognized. So, and again, when I go to those progressive line dance events, they want to know, oh, can we do some soul line dancing? Can we do soul line dancing? Because people love it. And I think that's what happened. That's what would happen as we expand. And
Mm-hmm.
therein lies the reason why I went to Good Morning America. Therein lies the reason why I went to the Library of Congress. So I would think that the majority of the soul line dance world is all for, let's get that exposure. And
Mm-hmm.
quite frankly, while it should not be the number one reason, but there's also some lucrative opportunities
I agree.
as we grow, as we get out into the public. And then I think it's when I talked about the soul line dance world that we're talking about, the folks that know nothing of that world, I think if you were to ask them, they would be the ones that say, "Why we got this show? This let's keep it for us for what? Do what? And do what with it? Don't be
Right.
ashamed of look." I named
Mm-hmm.
some people, and let me say this too. I named some folks, and there's some other folks out there. So if I didn't say your name, I know I'm going to get that text or that email. How come you didn't say my name? Charge it to the head, not the heart. But listen, there are some folks out there that are good at what they do, choreography, good at what they do, dance performance, good at what they do, instructing. But if we don't take it to that next level, they'll never be recognized for the talent that they bring to this industry. And they
Mm-hmm.
should be. But the only way they can get recognized appropriately, now don't get me wrong, they're recognized within the soul line dance community. Everybody knows them. But
Okay.
they need to be out there in the eyes of the world. And again, no disrespect to Big Moochie, to Cupid. When people say, and the world knows line dance choreographers as Cupid and Big Moochie. And also, let me say this: I want to give Big Moochie a big shout out, because Big Moochie is in that world that I talked about with Cupid, but he's also in our world.
International. And he's
He's
international.
a contributor to what we do as it relates to soul line dancing as well. So I just wanted
Right.
to put that out there as well.
Right. Yeah, because I think he was on live yesterday and everything else. And, that's one of the beautiful things. They were just talking about the origin of line dancing in their town in Cleveland and everything. And just seeing how the evolution and everything that he's done throughout that time and all that. So I'm just, I guess one of my last questions I have for you is, where do you see the soul line dance community or soul line dancing in general going? Like, where are we going from where you started to now? Where do you see it actually going from years to come?
Well, I think we have to be careful. And again, I'm going to say this one more time. There are self-proclaimed spokespersons for the soul line dance community. And then what happens when that self-proclaimed spokesperson says something or posts something on social media, we validate it by, oh my God, you're right. And we like it and 50,000 comments, and we have no clue what they're talking about. And we don't know what their agenda is. So I have said to several people in the soul line dance community, I am thankful that you are a part of this community, because me personally, I like what you're doing. I like where you're taking soul line dancing. I like your agenda. I might not know it all, but the agenda that I see, I like. So the answer to your question is, it depends. It depends on who's leading the charge. So there are some, again, we have different agendas. So what you have to ask, and sometimes you'll never know, what is the agenda of, sort of like and I'll use the analogy, like the Democratic Party. Who's in charge of the Democratic Party? What do we want to do? Everybody wants to be in charge. Got to find out who is that leader. I don't know that there is a specific leader of the soul line dance community. I do think there are sub leaders throughout. The problem is, I think we all have different agendas. If
Right.
somehow we can come together and talk about, have that conversation about what that agenda is, and not, I'm not saying take what you do and get rid of it, and take what he does and get rid of it, but maybe there is some similarities in your agendas that gets us to the same point. So,
Right.
but then on the other hand, there are folks that have a different agenda than those folks, and I think that particular agenda is more about me, as opposed to soul line dancing. And so we have to be careful about who's leading the charge. So whoever's leading the charge will dictate where soul line dancing is going. I think
Okay.
for right now, there are enough, and I'll just use this term loosely, good people in soul line dancing, that we have a good start. We're heading in the right direction, but we just have to be careful.
Okay. I agree. I like that. I like that take on it. All right. But well, okay. So a couple things I want to do. First of all, definitely thank you for even giving us your time once again. Is there any events that you want to show light on that you about to attend or you about to promote or anything to how, first of all, how do we follow you? How do we subscribe to what you got going on and support whatever you got going on? Can you tell the people that so they can kind of stay connected with everything that you got going on if it's possible?
So you can find me on Facebook. but it's Kenneth Johnson, and then in the parentheses Kenny J. But so I don't necessarily do um, the weekend events. I stay true to providing an outlet for people in my area to line
Hmm.
dance. Now, if anybody want to travel, by all means, come on up and hang out with me. I'm doing a line dance event every first and third um, Sunday, and then
Okay.
a line dance event every Wednesday, and then I teach throughout the week in various locations in this area. So, as I mentioned before, I used to do weekend events. Since I stopped that old I am Kenny J. I have not done that again. I used to
Okay.
do what's called a line dance marathon. I haven't done that again.
Yeah.
So
See.
the biggest event I do, and every now and again I'll try to put a theme, but one of the biggest things I do is I call it the best of both worlds. And
Okay.
what that does, it takes what I call old school DJs that was doing it when I first started, and new school DJs,
Okay.
the likes of Chris Blues and DJ Double W, and then that old school DJs was AJ the DJ and the guy that started the Soul Line Dance TV back in the day, Butch Thomas,
Okay.
because each one of those DJs has their own following. Each one of those
Got
DJs do something different. So I
you. Okay.
brought those DJs together, and
Okay.
then so now people that like this DJ and people that like that DJ, they all come in the same room and get everything they want. And then the other thing I do is I try to bring back some of the quote unquote old dances, some of the
Okay.
historical dances. As you know,
Classic.
there's so many dances. Look, and I say this all the time: anybody can choreograph a dance, but not
Yeah.
everybody should. But
Yeah.
so there are so many dancers out there, and
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
to discern what's going to stick. So
Right.
if like in this particular area, there are dancers that we do the new dances, but there are some old dances from day one that are still being requested. So those are the
Okay.
dances that you stay true to. I will tell you
Okay.
that it was just this weekend. I did go to an event down in Maryland. Sharon Holmes had her
Hmm.
25th anniversary. It was a nice event. Saw folks from back in the day, so that was a good.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
I
Okay.
want to get. I'm not going, but I want to give a shout out to Carlos Vieira because
Yeah.
he's doing this line dance cruise,
Right.
and as he say, we got the whole damn shit. So
Right. Right.
you know,
Definitely.
I want to give a shout out to him. I'm not going, but quite a few of my people that are in within my organization are going.
Right.
And then
Right. Right.
also, and I like to give credit where credit is due. So I don't attend everybody's event, but we got to get out of this mindset that because you're not going, that that means you don't like it or you're against it. So
Right.
I say this to say that I'm also not going to the beginner's ball,
Okay.
but the beginner's ball, and I'm Carlos. I hope you don't mind me using you as example. So I have a piece of advice that I want to give those of you that are taking charge, those of
Hmm.
you that are leading the way. And I'm paraphrasing, but this is something that Deion Sanders said to Lamar Jackson. Stop explaining yourself to fools and allow fools to be fools. A
Mm.
person trying that's strong, believes in themselves, and willing to stand for what they believe will always be misunderstood and judged by fools. And the reason I want to say this to Carlos, because Carlos has a beginner's ball. And I saw a lot of flack when he first put it out. Now I gave him some flack, but my flack was, well, hey, wait a minute. How you calling your event the beginner's ball? I had a beginner's ball since 2006 until COVID. But that's neither here nor there. What Carlos does and what I did are two different things. But when he put out initially that he was doing the beginner's ball, I heard these people talking about ain't nobody going to come to that. Nobody want to do beginners all day long. Nobody want. Don't even answer them. Do
Right.
you and then the people and what I tell people that give events, worry about the people that are attending your event. not the people that are not. If you worry about the people that are attending it and take care of them, they'll eventually bring the people that didn't come last year, they'll bring them next year. Same
Right.
thing with his cruise. Again, I'm not attending it, but that's because of I have other things going on. But
Mhm.
I heard oh my God, it ain't line dance, it ain't this, it ain't. You ain't got time for that.
Right.
So when you ask me about events, and everybody pretty much already know about these events, but I just wanted to put those
Shed
out.
light on them. Yeah. Okay, I got you. I got you. Yeah, definitely. And I know I didn't do it last time, so I got to make sure I do. I want to shout out to Just Us. They have an event April, the second weekend of April that we'll be attending. I want to show love to them. I think they only have a few tickets left, but definitely want to show love to them as well. I know we're going to Ronnie's event in May. I think his is on the third weekend of May. Definitely got to show support to him because he's like one of the most supportive individuals in the community. Everybody know Rondi for that. And then Omaha, they actually doing their first weekend event. I think it's the 23rd through the 25th, and I definitely, that's my family. They're doing a lot of things as well too, but their event's going to be nice. They're great people. They're the one that did the dance well, and a few other dances as well too. So I want to show light to them as well too. They got tickets on sale, and I think they got a discounted for right now, but I think it's going to go up. So yeah, just want to shout out those people and everything. But hey man, I definitely, like I said, I feel like with you, it's so much knowledge and information that you share and that you have. You experience so much at the end of the day. So a lot of wisdom that you can provide for individuals like myself because uh, there's really no handbook. You know what I mean, to continue to do what we're doing, especially in our community and city. So it's always good to refer to someone who has done it, especially to the level you've done it before. And I also commend you on the bravery and the courage to get it up again, for lack of better words, at the same time, because um, it's just as challenging, it's just as difficult at the same time. But the fact that you're willing to take on that challenge at this stage in your life, I think that's a beautiful thing and it's inspiring. So I definitely encourage and promote and pray that everything goes well in that process and everything too. But yeah, I just want to know if there's anything else you wanted to leave or say before we end the segment.
Yeah, I have a question. Maybe you can help me understand this. I've often seen from different posts on Facebook that soul line dancers don't do competitions.
Mm,
So I guess I want to know which spokesperson for soul line dancing, which head, which charge said that soul line dancers don't do competitions. And then maybe somebody can help me understand why. And then I would say to you, everything you do is competitive.
mm,
Everything you do is competitive. The result or the thing that matters is how you handle the
mm,
competition, how you
mm,
handle the end result. As a
mm,
kid, I played little league baseball, and when we lost the game, we had to go across the field and shake their hands, shake the other team's hand, and say good game, whether we liked it or not. We lost, but we held our heads up high and we shook the other team's hands. Everything we do is competitive. If you apply to school, you are competing against someone with a GPA that may have been higher than yours. You're competing against someone that wrote an essay for you on a scholarship, someone that wrote an essay that may have been different than yours. When you
mm,
get a job, you go on an interview, you're competing against someone whose resume that may have been a little different than yours, someone that answered the questions. So this thing, all this stuff about we don't compete because, and then on and on and on. Ask yourself, how would you handle it if you didn't win? And if you can't answer that question honestly and be able to say that you would shake the opponent's hand and say congratulations, then maybe you shouldn't do competitions. But
yikes.
but I don't think you should put that on the soul line dance world. As you know, I've competed in a lot of competitions.
Yeah, yeah.
I've won and I've lost and I've shaken hands and I was like, oh wow, if we did, and to one extent, I came in third, and in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
Coming in third was really first, because the competition that I was in, there was no way I was beating them. They were professional dancers, and
Mm-hmm.
and they did something off the chain. I said, oh, they should have got first, or they should have got second. But with everybody else, we got our own first, and I was excited about it because we
That's what's
got
up.
third. But
What's up.
again, the self-proclaimed spokespeople of soul line dancing, who told you? Who told you that you were the decision makers? And then,
Mm,
uh, don't get me started, but all these little posts on etiquette. You
mm,
shouldn't do this, and you can't. You shouldn't wear bells, the little thing, the little jingles you used to wear, and you shouldn't snap fans. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, what is it that you do that somebody else might not like, and are you
mm,
willing to stop doing that? And if you're not, then stop telling other people what they need to do. It ain't your
mm,
business. Go do your dance and enjoy yourself.
mm. You know what, man? I'm starting to feel like you had a lot to say. You had all this on your chest. You were waiting for a moment to share this information, because boy, I tell you.
I said to you that I wasn't going to. I don't. Wasn't really particular about doing any podcasts. I
Mhm,
see a lot of posts, and it takes everything, every ounce of blood in my body not to
mhm.
respond.
Yeah,
So, but there are some things. Again, this is my opinion.
right,
Everybody has opinions.
right,
So, because I say it, don't make it right. But I
right.
think it needed to be said.
I agree. I agree. And I'll be honest with you. I do look to hear from individuals like yourself and other people who's been in the game for so to speak on matters that's going on throughout the community. Um, Even though you guys are not the spokesperson for the community from that aspect, or we're labeled as such, I do carry some level of wisdom and understanding to give us more insight, because as it continues to evolve and grow, we we don't we forget what the essence of what the intent was, or what started or what made it to be. And so when we hear from people who's been in the game to share wisdom to us and say, hey, allow things to remain free and not regulated to the point where we lose the love and the essence of it. You know what I mean? So when y'all do speak, I promise you, when you do, especially when you wrote that whole dissertation about choreographers and who can create dances and all that stuff, like that thing is like they almost got that like a scripture right now pinned in the universal line dance page. But it was necessary, it was needed to be said, you know what I'm saying? So while I know sometimes you kind of stay away from certain things, I'm gonna tell you from my position, it's always good to hear you speak on certain things to address it, because sometimes we need that sound wisdom and sound advice that comes somewhere. You know what I mean? Especially with all the noise that goes on throughout the community, just to kind of get us back focused and focusing on the thing. At least, and I'm only speaking from a young individual, a young person in the community, in the game, still learning and everything else. It's always good to hear someone from that position to speak. So I thank you for saying things that you needed to say. You know.
Yes, sir.
Definitely, definitely. Well, other than that, man, I appreciate the time. Ain't gonna take any longer. You got a lot you got going on. So hopefully we get together. Like I said, I want to pull up one day. There's a symphony hall, the symphony hall that y'all do.
I don't do Symphony Hall anymore. I'm down at the
Okay.
Atrium Dance Studio. And I remember right before COVID, you were coming. I did have you scheduled.
Yeah,
I
yeah, it
had
was
you
in
scheduled
July. In
for one of
July.
my beginner's ball. It was the beginner's
Yeah.
ball that I had. So
Okay.
I had you
Yeah, yeah,
scheduled for
definitely.
that.
Well, we're looking forward to, because I'll be seeing what y'all got going on, and I'll be like, man, they be getting it in, man. I don't know how. We gotta figure out a way. We was in Jersey one time, but we definitely need to pull up again. So I'm looking forward to it. So just I'll continue to follow and see how we can kind of connect from that aspect.
I do want to say one more thing.
Go ahead.
And this is to the powers that be, the leaders in the soul line dance world. It's okay to have a different opinion than the guy next to you, and you just have to respect each other's opinion. And I'll use a prime example. I, I mentioned Curtis Good several times. Back in the day, Curtis Good and I didn't agree on everything. I was like, Curtis, you crazy. What are you doing? But Curtis Good and I, we're like that. We don't agree with everything as it relates to line dancing. He has a different thought on this than I have, but I ain't got nothing but mad love for him. And we can still get on the dance floor and dance next to each other with our different opinions. And I just want to say that to you guys. You can do the same thing with somebody that you disagree with. Because they disagree with you, don't make them your enemy. Don't make them the worst thing in line dancing, or they don't. No, get over that.
I agree. Definitely. Well, at the end of the day, man, we all growing, we're all learning and everything else. And there's more important things to focus on, as you can see. So once again, thank you for joining us, man. And for those who tuning in, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Definitely interview I feel that needs to be heard by everybody in the community personally. So make sure you provide that information, share it with them so they can hear that. And just so y'all know, I'm gonna try to do like a live reaction video on this so we can all tune in together as well. But I'll definitely keep everyone posted on that. And also, I am moving to Wednesdays. Why? Because that's the only schedule I can do my live feed. So it's going to be like Wednesday at 8:30 Eastern time, just to give y'all a heads up. But don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Put in the comments, opinions, and everything else so we can address as best as we can. But I thank y'all all for the support. Kenny J.
Marquis, tell them it's okay that put those comments in. It's okay that they might have a different opinion of mine. I'm a big boy. I got my big boy joys on. I can handle it. So
don't be scared.
I respect their opinion. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, that's how we learn anyway, from other people's perspective. So that's just how it's all it is. But once again, appreciate y'all time. And Kenny J, go ahead and end it out right now. Hopefully I end this correctly so we can save it.
Okay, keep doing what you do.
Yes, sir. Thank you.